as ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
It's midday. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on CoreTV News on the hour. I am Ebulomo Adekunle. The Senate has kicked against alleged plans by the Imo State government to introduce ID cards for northerners residing or doing business in the state. This was on the basis of a motion by Deputy Senate Leader Abdul Ningi, who insisted that the policy is capable of creating more harm than good. Although a few senators made a case for restraint, majority are convinced that Governor Okorocha had to be cautioned.
The motion was raised by Deputy Senate Leader Abdul Ningi. He contended that plans to introduce ID cards for northerners residing in Imo State was unconstitutional.
This policy could only be successful if security agencies are involved in it. And the Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces is the only person that would direct otherwise. Because once you have a policy in a state, it could only be successful if you use the police, the state security, and the military. And that is the wisdom behind this prayer. As whatever the governor tries to do, if he doesn't have the backing of the law enforcement agencies, it will fizzle out.
And in spite of a denial by the state government, many senators were in no mood to tolerate what they say is capable of creating more problems in the country.
Mr. President, sir, my submission is this. Whatever action they each want to take should be guided by the provisions of the Constitution and should be guided by the oath they took as oath of office, that they shall defend all Nigerians, not just the citizens of their states.
The governor of Imo State has brought a lot of infamy and insult upon the name and the people of Imo State. I want to tell you, on behalf of all Imo people, that we believe in the Constitution, that the constitutional provision of free movement, free association, free worship, and all the personal freedoms.
At least one senator preferred to lay the blame on the doorsteps of the federal government.
What happened? Who did or did not do his job well enough to make Nigeria better? But Imo State and its policy or contemplated policy is only ancillary, is only consequential to the inaction or improper action and lackadaisical behavior of the PDP administration in Nigeria.
But a handful of senators do not believe Governor Okorocha was capable of introducing such a policy.
The key word I picked from the earlier speakers is the word investigation. We have not investigated the allegation. We have not bothered to say yes, even in the prayer, we did not state that let a committee go and investigate the veracity of this thing, and we have started condemning and passing judgment.
Rogers is called everywhere, the governor of Imo State, as a northerner. So I don't see how he can. Well, that's what they say. I don't see how he can, because he was born there, he was raised there, everything he's done is there. So I don't see how he could make such a statement. So I think, please, we need to investigate so that we can now come back to now condemn, if we want to condemn this order.
At the end of the day, the majority had its way. The Senate unanimously resolved that President Jonathan should prevent the security agencies from aiding the government to implement the policy. Senators also advised Okorocha to reverse the policy in national interest.
The impeachment saga in Adamawa State has taken a new twist. The state acting Chief Judge Ambrose Mamadi has dismissed all charges levied against the Adamawa State House of Assembly by Governor Murtala Inyako. Mamadi had earlier restrained the lawmakers from proceeding with the impeachment process. He has now given the members a clean bill to continue with the impeachment. The House has earlier directed the acting chief judge to set up a 7-man panel to investigate the allegations of gross misconduct against the governor and his deputy. Legal practitioners in the country have been charged to dispense justice within a reasonable time frame to erase delay in justice in the country. Oluwaseyi Adegoke was at the conference organized by the Lagos State Ministry of Justice and the Nigerian Bar Association. Her report is presented from our studios.
The conference on judicial reforms was tagged Delay in Justice Administration Beyond the Rules and Law. It is aimed at reducing delay in justice. The Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola says legal practitioners must know that they cannot win all cases, but should narrow down disputes.
But it's not judgment alone. If the judge is now compelled to give judgment within a particular time frame, I think practitioners also must be constrained to present their cases within a particular time frame.
The Lagos State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Adebaye, says there is improvement in the system, but attention should still be focused on other issues not yet addressed.
Now, the important thing to note this morning is that while the complaints of delay are often addressed to the courts, we all know that administration of justice is not all about courts alone. Litigants themselves and their lawyers are key players that can speed up or slow down the process of adjudication.
Clearly, we could find ways to speed up administration of justice, so that justice is not delayed to a point that is truly justice denied. Because the more ordinary people experience this and find that they cannot get justice, the more the system loses its legitimacy. And as legitimacy is eroded, people find that the only way they can get, in their view, what is justice is by taking the laws into their hands.
The judiciary, however, says judicial reforms must be a continuous exercise to erase delay in justice administration.
The nationwide strike by resident doctors has continued. The strike was triggered by what the doctors say is government's inability to meet its 24-point demand. Olajumoke Olatunji visited the Lagos University Teaching Hospital and brought back this report.
The medical doctors say the demand is aimed at sanitizing patient care and adjustment of the doctor's salary. President of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital chapter of the Association of Resident Doctors, Omojowolo Lubumi, says the strike has been effective. He urged the federal government to come to the aid of doctors on time because many lives have been put at risk.
The strike has been very effective, but we are not just interested in going on strike. We want the issues involved to be resolved speedily so that the sufferings that the patients are going through can be brought to an end.
The secretary ordered that the strike is a painful decision which took the Nigerian Medical Association some time to decide. He also urged the federal government to make haste to grant the prayers of the doctors.
There is a painful decision to be taken, and it took a long time for enemy to declare the strike, and the only hope we have is that government should accede to the demands of enemy on time, so that this needless suffering of patients will end. We must realize that even while doctors are working, the sufferings were on because of inadequate facilities, poor health system, poor national health insurance. There is nowhere in the world where good healthcare deliveries exist, where people are expected to pay from their pocket to access. Nobody knows when it's going to require health service. There are things you can plan for, buying car, building houses, you can save towards that. But nobody can confidently save towards payments for healthcare delivery. So that's why NHI is very important. That's one of the major things, the key issue in the NMA demand.
CoreTV News was prevented from speaking with some of the patients on admission. The strike has increased pressure on private healthcare outlets across the country. Olajumoke Olatuju, CoreTV News, Lagos.
In his reaction, Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola has appealed to the striking resident doctors to end the industrial action. Fashola made the appeal at the second convocation ceremony of Lagos State College of Health Technology. Abiola Oluwole completes the story as presented from our studio.
Established in 1920, the Lagos State College of Health Technology has been instrumental to the training of health workers over the years. Governor Fashola was in the school to preside over the second convocation ceremony of the school. The announcement of automatic employment for the 265 graduating students by the governor attracted jubilation from the crowd. Speaking on the importance of medical workers to the well-being of the people, Fashola called on the striking doctors to sheath the sword in the interests of the people.
If you are like God on earth, because it is a calling to be a healthcare practitioner, it is not just any other job. It's a calling that requires care, it's a calling that requires compassion, it's a calling that requires empathy, all of those things that you have been told. It is a relationship of absolute trust. Does God go on strike on us? Then can we go on strike on patients who depend on us in order to stay alive?
The immediate provision of jobs for these students by government is expected to further boost healthcare delivery in Lagos State.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has denied allegations that the Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Rufus Akeju, has been removed. INEC spokesman Kayode Idowu said in a statement he was only requested to proceed on leave of absence for his own safety and to ensure the credibility of the forthcoming governorship election. He explains that the RAC was asked to step aside against the backdrop of partisan acrimony over his person. INEC insists that Akeju has not been indicted for any offense and remains substantive resident electoral commissioner for Osun State, even though someone else would preside over the August election. You're watching the CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take a break and we'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Nigerians continue to travel the city of Lagos.
There is still a poor level of
Be the first to know
on CoreTV News
from the north, south, east, west, and around Africa. We break the news.
We are one Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are CoreTV News.
Welcome to CoreTV,
24-hour news station.
Thank you for being there. The United Nations reassured West Africa that the world's deadliest Ebola epidemic could be stopped in its tracks. United Nations told West Africa's health ministers that the crisis can be handled. The highly contagious tropical bug has infected hundreds of people in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, with the latest World Health Organization figures showing that confirmed or suspected cases had left 467 people dead. The WHO has warned that Ebola could spread to other countries and that those hardest hit could struggle to contain the disease.
Our biggest challenge is the cultural beliefs. Currently, people do not believe Ebola even exists. They believe it is witchcraft or something else. And so that is helping to spread the disease.
Most of the people living around these borders are very much connected in terms of ethnicity and trade and other social activities. So you don't really differentiate between these populations around the borders in these countries. So that gives it a very high possibility of spreading across borders to other countries.
It's very hard to absolutely stop the spread of diseases because people
cross borders, people get in cars, people get in airplanes, and this is how these diseases move around. So the most important thing that we can do is to make sure that people understand what is the situation, so health workers understand that if they see somebody who is sick, this is a possibility, to make sure that information gets to the right authorities so that the key actions needed to stop it can be put into place.
That's all we have for you on CoreTV News for this hour. Join us again, top of the hour for more. Thank you for watching. I am Ebulomo Adekunle.